So you're running a successful business, right? At some point, every owner hits the same wall. How do you reward your top people? The ones who are absolutely critical. More importantly, how do you make sure they stick around? It's a huge question, and today we're going to pull back the curtain on a really powerful and surprisingly simple tool that does just that. Okay, let's just get right into it. You've got a key executive, someone you can't afford to lose, and you want to give them a benefit that really means something. But let's be honest, the last thing anyone wants is to get bogged down in paperwork or create some complicated long-term liability for the company. So the question is, can you actually deliver a killer benefit that just cuts through all that red tape? Well, you bet you can. And this really gets us to the heart of what I call the key employee dilemma. It's this constant balancing act for businesses who are just trying to do the right thing and create a great compensation package. You see, a lot of the traditional benefits, you might hear them called non-qualified plans, can be an absolute nightmare. They're called that because they don't follow the normal rules like a 401k. And honestly, they often come with major administrative headaches and can lock the company into financial promises that last for years and years. The real goal here is to find something that the employee loves, that feels valuable, without it becoming a huge burden for the business. And this brings us to a really, really elegant solution that just slices right through that complexity. It's called the Executive Bonus 162 Plan. And yeah, it gets its name from Section 162 of the tax code, the part that lets businesses deduct normal, everyday business expenses. The core idea here is incredibly direct. The company isn't buying a policy for the executive. That's not what's happening. It's just paying them compensation. It's a bonus. Then the executive takes that money and uses it to fund a life insurance policy that they own 100%. It's clean, it's direct, it's simple. So what does this actually look like in practice? The mechanics are, you'll be happy to hear, refreshingly straightforward. Let's just break it down step by step. It really is as simple as 1, 2, 3. First, the company pays a bonus. For them, it's just a regular deductible compensation expense. Easy. Second, the executive reports that bonus as income on their taxes, just like their salary. And third, they use the money that's left over to pay the premium on the policy that's in their name. The flow of money is crystal clear. No weird accounting trick. So here's the catch, and it's a big one. That bonus is taxable. So if you give an executive a bonus for, say, $10,000 to cover a $10,000 premium, well, they're going to come up short after Uncle Sam takes his cut. This can create a little bit of what we call a tax pain, and it can make the benefit feel, well, kind of incomplete. And the solution to this tax pain is so simple, but so clever. It's called a gross up. All it means is the company just bumps up the bonus by a little extra to cover the executive's estimated tax bill. That way, after taxes are paid, they're left with the exact amount they need for the premium. It just makes the whole thing feel complete and hassle-free for them. Okay, so now that we get the mechanics, let's talk about why this structure is so darn effective. I mean, there's a reason these plans are so popular. It's because they create a true win-win, with huge upsides for both the company and the employee. For the employer, this is a dream come true. The bonus, generally a tax-deductible expense. The administration, so easy you can often just run it through payroll, and you always know exactly what it's going to cost you. Now, for the executive, this is where it gets really good. They own a real, portable asset from day one. It's theirs. That gives them total control and a feeling of real value. This quote really hits the nail on the head. It explains exactly why this works so well for the employee. This isn't some fuzzy promise about a future payout. It's a real policy they can hold in their hands, they can see it, they own it. It's not some abstract number on a company statement. It's their asset. All right, so the concept is simple. We've established that. But making it truly work for your business, well, that's all in the design. Getting the details right is absolutely critical if you want this plan to hit its goals. So you've really got 3 key decisions to make. First, what kind of life insurance policy are we talking about? Almost always, it's going to be a permanent policy, like whole life or universal life. And that's key because those policies build up cash value over time. They become a real, growing asset for the executive, not just a death benefit. Second, how big is the bonus? Are you going to include that tax gross up we talked about? And finally, the big one. How do you actually use this thing to keep your people around? And this is always the #1 question that employers ask. It makes perfect sense. If the executive owns the policy and can just walk out the door with it, what's the hook? Where's the incentive to stay? It's a fair question, and the answer is actually really elegant. The retention power doesn't come from restricting ownership. You're not holding the policy hostage, not at all. The real power comes from the promise of future bonuses. The plan is usually set up so the company agrees to pay these bonuses every year for, say, 5 or 10 years. The incentive to stay is to keep getting that funding, to keep building up this awesome personal asset on the company's dime. And when you put the 162 plan side by side with other options, the difference is it's night and day. Take something like a split dollar plan, for example. That's where the company and the executive kind of share the policy. And you can see right there on the chart, the complexity just skyrockets. The 162 plan really stands out because it's so simple and because of the power of that direct, uncomplicated ownership for the executive. So, if you're going to take away one thing from all this, let it be this. The absolute beauty of the Executive Bonus 162 plan is its clarity. There are no smoke and mirrors, no complicated accounting. It's just a straightforward exchange of value. The company pays compensation, and the executive gets a valuable personal asset. Everybody knows exactly where they stand. And that kind of leaves us with a final thought to chew on. In today's world where top talent really values autonomy, trust, and transparency, maybe the best retention tool isn't a complicated set of golden handcuffs. Maybe it's a simple, clear, and tangible benefit that shows you're genuinely investing in them and their future. Something to think about. Thanks so much for tuning in.